Say again, Officer Connors.
Going to see Pope. Robert Pope. Taking a statement on that break-in last week? Yeah, anyways, it's 56 West Arlen Drive. Tell Lieutenant Miller.
Copy that. I'll relay the message, Officer Connors.
Thanks. Connors out.
Hello, sis.
You there, kiddo?
Hey, Mark.
I bet you're listening to the chatter.
You know me.
We'll try and get some sleep. It's been a rough day. Gonna put the word out tomorrow. See why those blues got itchy trigger fingers. I'll drop by later, okay? And don't chuck that pizza. I like the toppings matured.
Matured. Yeah, I know. See you, Mark.
Shots fired. Repeat, shots fired. All units proceed to 56 West Arlen Drive immediately. Proceed with caution.
Kate! Where are you? Kate, where are you?
Hey,
Mark,
you off?
just get on comms and track me.
Mirror's Edge Catalyst does not simply reinterpret the original game. It fundamentally misunderstands what made Mirror's Edge distinct. The issue is not nostalgia or resistance to change, but a deeper shift in philosophy. The 2008 game was never built on conventional conflict, narrative clarity, or exaggerated antagonists. It was built on atmosphere, restraint, and a quiet, suffocating form of control that emerged through design rather than declaration. Catalyst replaces that with something louder, more explicit, and ultimately far less compelling. The original Mirror's Edge presents a city that appears clean, bright, and almost utopian on the surface. White architecture, sharp geometry, and open spaces create an environment where everything is visible and nothing feels hidden. But that clarity is not comforting. It is oppressive. The absence of clutter, texture, and personal imprint produces a subtle psychological tension. You are always seen, always moving through spaces that feel designed rather than lived in. Control is not enforced through constant violence or spectacle, but through the environment itself. The city guides behavior, shapes movement, and removes friction so efficiently that resistance begins to feel unnatural. It is a world where obedience is not demanded. It is implied. This design philosophy extends directly into the narrative. Mirror's Edge does not rely on a singular villain because the antagonist is systemic. The threat is not a person, but a structure, an ideological and architectural system that has been internalized by the people within it. Kate is not evil. She believes in the system. That belief creates a far more meaningful conflict than any external manipulation could. It reflects a divide in values rather than a battle between good and evil. Merc is not a heroic archetype, but a grounded, weary figure shaped by the world he inhabits. Even Celeste, who could have been framed as an antagonist, is presented with nuance. Her actions are understandable within the logic of the system, not exaggerated into cartoonish malice. Every character feels like a product of the world, not a tool of the plot. Catalyst disrupts this entirely by externalizing the conflict. Instead of allowing the system to remain the quiet, pervasive antagonist, it introduces clearly defined villains, exaggerated motivations, and a more conventional narrative structure. Power is no longer subtle or ambient, it is personified. This shift removes the psychological weight of the world. When control has a face, it becomes something you can confront, fight, and ultimately defeat. The ambiguity is lost, replaced by clarity that feels artificial within the context of Mirror's Edge. The handling of Faith's sister illustrates this shift most clearly. In the original game, the relationship between Faith and Kate is grounded in ideology. Kate's alignment with law enforcement is not framed as corruption or manipulation, but as belief. That belief is what creates tension. It is a conflict that cannot be easily resolved because both perspectives exist within the same system. Catalyst simplifies this dynamic. Someone close to the protagonist is turned, controlled, or aligned with the enemy, then ultimately redeemed. It's emotionally direct and familiar, but it lacks the nuance of ideological division. Instead of, we believe different things, it becomes, she wasn't herself, which is far more conventional. Visually, Catalyst moves away from the stark minimalism that defined the original. The 2008 game's use of color and space was deliberate, creating a world that felt both sterile and hyper-controlled. Catalyst introduces more visual noise, more technological clutter, and a stronger cyberpunk influence. While this may appear more futuristic, it undermines the original aesthetic. Mirror's Edge was never about a dense or chaotic future. It was about clarity taken to an extreme. The emptiness of the environment was the point. By filling that space, Catalyst reduces the sense of exposure and control that made the original world so effective. Ultimately, the difference between the two games lies in how they approach power. Mirror's Edge presents a world where control is invisible, embedded in architecture, behavior, and perception. It is unsettling because it feels natural, almost justified. Catalyst, on the other hand, presents control as something visible and oppositional, something that can be identified and resisted in a traditional sense. This shift transforms a quiet psychological dystopia into a conventional story of rebellion. The original game trusted the player to interpret its world, to feel its pressure without being told where it came from. Catalyst explains, dramatizes, and simplifies. In doing so, it loses the subtlety that gave Mirror's Edge its identity. What remains is not a continuation, but a reinterpretation that replaces atmosphere with narrative and systemic tension with direct conflict. And in that transition, the essence of Mirror's Edge is diminished. This reboot feels CW-like because Catalyst shifts from quiet, systemic storytelling to character-driven melodrama with clear heroes and villains, the kind of structure the CW thrives on. In the 2008 game, the narrative is restrained and almost indifferent to you. Characters don't over-explain themselves. Relationships are implied through tone and small exchanges. Conflict is ideological and environmental, the system versus the individual. No one stands on a pedestal as the villain. Even tension with Kate comes from belief, not betrayal. It feels grounded, minimal, and adult. Catalyst flips that into something much more familiar. The story is built around constant interpersonal drama. Characters argue, declare motivations, explain feelings, and reinforce relationships out loud. Instead of tension sitting beneath the surface, it's brought to the front repeatedly. That's a very CW-style approach, keeping emotional stakes active and explicit at all times, so the audience is never left interpreting.
Let me tell you something. If you ever took a stance on anything, Noah, I might care about your opinion. Contact me when you come to your senses. That is, if it happens before Kruger catches up to you. Faith, you've grown. Barely out of prison and already stirring things up. Your parents would be proud.
They were talking about Elysium, whatever it was you stole from there.
Who was that?
Rebecca Thane.
The leader of Black November. She knew my parents.
Yeah, we were all part of the same group before. Anyway, Rebecca was always a breed apart. She thinks she can change the world by blowing it up. Faith, she wanted the Omnistat drive, the blueprint on it.
Why not give it to her?
Because in her own way, she's as dangerous as Gabriel Kruger. Reflection's obviously more than the conglomerate will admit, and I have a feeling Rebecca should be kept away from it.
Good, because I was going to offer it to Dogan.
I tell you well, didn't I? not to take sides.
I do take sides. Our side. See ya.
Faith,
What?
never mind. I'll see you soon.